Hello everyone, this is Jake from CINECALIBER. In today's video, I will be reviewing Godzilla X Kong, The New Empire. Now guys, this is one of my most anticipated films of the 2024 year, and if anyone wants to see a more detailed analysis of those, there will be a link in the description below for that. This is the fifth film in the MonsterVerse that has been established. It is a direct sequel to King Kong versus Godzilla, and overall the reception for these films have been a bit mixed. It does feel like Hollywood doesn't really know how to kind of capture the same, I'm trying to think of the word, the same charisma that makes these films such a spectacle to begin with. And I don't know if that's because they're trying to adapt Godzilla from Japanese culture to U.S. culture. It's hard to say. But also, I really feel like this film was released way too close to Godzilla Minus One, which was an absolute masterpiece. And because of that, I feel like the audience had that film fresh in their minds. And then when watching this, they realized how less quality of a film it was compared to that one. But what most people don't know is that it's Japanese cinema versus America cinema. And sadly, America cinema, when it comes to monster movies, have a formula that doesn't work as well for Godzilla since it's a Japanese cinema product. They kind of miss the mark a lot of the times with those films. Some background for this film: the film was directed by Adam Wingard, who also directed Godzilla vs Kong, the previous MonsterVerse film. He also directed Death Note, Blair Witch, amongst others. Writing wise, the film was written by Terry Rossio, who was a big creator of the Pirates of the Caribbean, Simon Barrett from the VHS films, and then, of course, Jeremy Slater from Fantastic Four and The Exorcist. Barrett and Slater have collaborated with Wingard in the last MonsterVerse film, so we get a lot of the same talent from that film coming over into this film. And we're going to get into what was a hit, guys, the good with this film. I'd say one of the biggest things that was great in this film was that they fixed one of the biggest criticisms in the last film that I had, which was making Kong a more prominent character. In much of this film, we explore Kong quite a bit as he navigates Hollow Earth, and they do a much better job kind of establishing him as a force to be reckoned with. I felt like he kind of was portrayed as a wimp in the last film. He had some good moments, but it feels like he was just not equal to Godzilla. And to me, I feel like both are very equal beings of power. But that wasn't really showcased in the last film. But here, it feels like they kind of redeemed him, and I like that a lot. It does seem like the filmmakers are listening to the audience here, and they're focusing more on the monsters in general, more than the humans. That's always been a hindrance in these films, is that the humans are not utilized or being utilized too much and too poorly, and that it overtakes the monster mayhem. I would say 70% of this film focuses on various aspects of Kong and Godzilla, which is a huge plus. Just kind of kept the interest of the narrative going. The fight sequences are arguably the best since the first MonsterVerse film. Everything is choreographed quite well. The CGI is on point, and they do a great job capturing some truly suspenseful moments, and even the lighting and some of the camera shots are just it makes you kind of take in the film with such refreshing light for the most part. I really did enjoy that. You kind of just see some really great shots of Hollow Earth and just the the climate and everything going on there. Some really nice stuff there. That was really all that was a hit for me, guys. Was just those three big things for the most part. I do have some hindrances, so this is what was a miss, the bad. It felt like they kind of flopped, or they flipped it here. I wish they would kind of just balance it out, but what I mean is that they focused less on Godzilla this film, despite him being the title character. I don't know why they can't seem to just kind of give both Godzilla and Kong a kind of balanced arc. Like last film, Godzilla was prominent. Now this one feels like Kong is more prominent. I'm glad that Kong got his moment, but Godzilla still has to kind of have his moments too. It just, I don't know, it's weird. because Godzilla really, to me, in this film doesn't really have much of a factor, or he isn't much of a factor until the final fight of the film, and that's, to me, it's just unacceptable. They should be able to utilize both. Hopefully, maybe as this MonsterVerse continues, they get it together. Remains to be seen, though. And I mean, even though the humans weren't much of a factor in this film, which I liked, there were still parts of this film I felt very interested in with them. They kind of decided to focus a bit on a religious group in this film, and that's when I started to kind of tune out a bit. They don't do much to kind of make us feel invested in that storyline, other than the fact that they kind of use that as a plot device to reveal what is truly happening during the plot reveals, kind of building up to the climax, basically. I felt if they kind of added a bit more exploration to this aspect, it would have made the human storyline that much more interesting, even though they were only in the film for about 30% of the film. That 30% could have been solid if they kind of took the time to really just dive in a little bit more than they did. And lastly, really, here, guys, there was just some really cheesy moments when it came to the fight scenes. There was literally a moment when Kong got hit by a suplex from Godzilla, like full-on WWE suplex. The believability just isn't there. And plus, because Godzilla, I mean, he's like a dinosaur. He has the tiniest arms. To be able to do that to a full-bodied ape just kind of pushed the limit a bit. I mean, I was just like, how the heck did he do that? And, I mean, I like the Monster Mayhem, but, man, this is cheesy, you know? I guess you can look at that as a good or a bad thing. I kind of just looked at it as like, come on, they're a little bit over the top there. And really, also, the main villain in this film, Scar King, he is very underwhelming. They don't focus on him a whole lot, and like it's one of those things where it's like he just feels like a final boss more than a villain. They kind of do that in the Wonder Woman 2 when they kind of show Cheetah. She kind of just comes up as a final villain, but really is just a boss. They kind of do the same thing here. He's just kind of there, causing conflict, you know. I did enjoy the fight scenes with him, but really as a character standalone, not so much. I wasn't feeling him. A bit of a nuisance for the most part. But yeah, that was really everything that was a miss for me, guys. I'm gonna go into the conclusion here of the film. So this film, although a cheesy monster flick, like most of the MonsterVerse films, is an enjoyable film. Its focus on monster mayhem revolving around Kong and Godzilla make it quite a suspenseful and action-packed ride. Despite some annoying human subplots, the film makes for a good time, and I would have to give this film a final rating of a 3 out of 5. I gave Kong versus Godzilla pretty much the same rating, 3 out of 5. These films really don't break much more than just being good, mediocre, cheesy monster flicks, in my opinion. Whether or not that will change if they decide to, you know, up the game a little bit, it remains to be seen. But yeah, that's all I had. This film, again, is one of my most anticipated films of the 2024 year, and you will see a list here of all the films that I have seen so far that I'm most excited for in the 2024 year. Again, there will be a link in the description below of this video if anyone wants to check out my analysis of those films of what I'm most excited for. And that is all for today, guys. As always, please comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. And this is Jake from CINECALIBER.